Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another and possibly the final episode of Who is the Mole 5, The Aftermath. This should be our last one, right, Spencer?
I feel like there is, unless there's a secret bonus round that we don't know about yet.
Yeah, who
But,
knows? Who's to say?
mm-hmm.
But yeah, so tonight we're going to recap the final round of the game, and then we're going to roll through a list of some of our favorite mole moments for our mole Amanda this season. So that's what we have planned. And the first part should be pretty quick, just because it's a pretty quick round. And, we'll
Mm-hmm.
go over some quiz results as well.
Yeah, we just have the second part to make the video a bit girthier. Uh, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, since it's probably the last one, like, it's either like just talk about the mole sabotages or just do like favorite moments from the season. But like they'll probably overlap a lot anyway. So we'll just do it through the eyes of the mole herself.
Yeah, yeah. And for perspective, this is the night before the live reveal and reunion. So at this point, as we're recording this, Spencer and I know the winner, and obviously we know the mole. We've known that the whole time. But the cast does not yet know. So we'll be delivering that news tomorrow and then have like our reunion right after. So that should be fun.
And then our hands will be washed of this season, except for the fact that I have to like post all of the recaps and then post these on YouTube and then
Mm-hmm. But
plug
yeah, they're
that
gonna be all
crap.
done after tonight though, which is really cool.
Yes, all of the hard work will be done, which is all that we care about.
Yeah, yeah. But do we want to jump right into the final round, Spencer?
Sure. Is that for me to take over?
No, it's just asking you. We can both speak.
Okay.
Um,
Okay, I'll let you keep going. You have my permission to talk about. You can
okay.
start with like the nightmare planning and how we had to go to a plan B.
Well, I'll start with some of the light news. So this round featured this is something I had planned to do all season. So
Mm-hmm.
this round featured fan favorites, heroes, legends, and icons, Amanda Renee and Barb. As our two special guests this round. We wanted to bring them back because who better for the final round to guest than our reigning winner and our reigning mole? um, so that's been fun. They're always a good addition to the chat. Um, the horror news this round is our final assignment was planned to initially be the one and only live assignment of the season where people would be competing at the same time all at once. But when you have a final three with as different of time zones as we had, you find that that's very difficult real quick. So, for instance, Jessica is in California. So when it is 5 p.m. for her, right when she gets out of work on a given day, it is already 2 a.m. in South Africa for Dexter. So that proved very challenging. So I put on my thinking cap and was able to revamp the final assignment. So it's the same thing, but it's just individual heats instead of everyone doing it at once. So that was a small damper, but it still ended up being really fun, actually. What do you
Mm-hmm.
think, Spencer?
All of our participants in it seem to really like it, so I would call it
Mm-hmm.
a success. Might have gone exactly how we intend, but I feel like that just always happens. We plan stuff and then shit goes awry, and we have to think on our feet to make it go
Mm-hmm.
better. That's part of hosting. So,
Yeah. But for this assignment, I guess I can jump right in and explain it. Each of the players competed individually. So Dexter went first, and then Jessica second, and then Amanda third. Um, so they were given most of the parameters for the assignment. This is going to sound really convoluted because it's a few separate parts, moving pieces to it. So they were told that it would be a trivia challenge with them versus some special guests. The special guests we were referring to were two executed players in this cast. So, yes, there was a trivia challenge, and yes, it was worth money for the pot for the final three if they won their trivia round. But the way that that worked is during the game, our three finalists were each given three secret tasks that they needed to perform without the special guests noticing them. So, Spencer, do you have the list in front of you?
oh
Or
god,
could
no.
you uncover that? Because I have
I'll
some
go find that. I
concrete
have it. I do have
examples.
it up. It's fine. So, like, just should I go for the 3 tasks that each of them had?
Sure.
Okay, so Dexter's 3 tasks that he had to do was to change his Zoom name multiple times, to draw a tattoo on his skin with a marker, and to light and blow out a candle. Jessica's were to set off an alarm, switch a bowl of chips for a bowl of popcorn, and use the word fellatio out of context. Uh, Amanda's were to apply makeup to yourself, drink at least 4 full bottles or glasses of water during the game, and hug a stuffed animal.
So that's what they had to do again without being caught at the end. So the secret guests or special guests were not told ahead of time that this would be part of the assignment. So they were really thrown off when we added that piece at the end. So the trivia round played itself out. And then if the player beat the special guests, then they would basically be able to earn double the money for their secret task. So if they won the trivia round, they would earn $1,000 for each of the secret tasks that they got away with. If they lost the trivia round, they'd win $500 for each of the secret tasks they got away with. There was one other wrinkle. So what the players did not know is that there was another special guest who was not doing the trivia. They were just there for some commentary and have a fun time. And that was a former player, not from this season, but a past player. And that person was given a list of 10 secret tasks of their own, separate from the players. And they were told to perform 2 of those during the assignment. So at the end, after everything was said and done, the player had to guess from a given list which 2 items they thought that person did. So we'll go through that and it'll make a little bit more sense. But if for each of those 2 tasks that the player identified, they'd get an extra $500. So Dexter went first, and Dexter's special guests, his 2 executed players, were Alex and Victoria. And then the former player who was invited was Ryan Patterson. So Dexter is competing against Alex and Victoria in the trivia. And then Ryan Patterson is observing and also performing 2 secret tasks of his own. So for Dexter, he did not win the trivia. I think he got 2 questions, right? Right, Spencer?
I think it was.
Yeah,
I mean, this is pretty abysmal trivia for everyone.
It was not a stellar performance.
There's hard questions.
Yeah, they were. So Dexter lost the trivia. Spoiler alert, all 3 of the final 3 lost the trivia, but we'll have some more interesting things to say for one of the others later on. And then as far as his secret tasks went, he was pretty shady actually with most of them. Like he was doing it like it was hard for me to even notice. But I did notice him doing them, which was the important things. Like we had to confirm that he actually had done them. So Alex and Victoria were only able to guess 1 of his tasks. So he did win $1,000 there. The one that they guessed was they saw him draw on himself with a marker, the tattoo. And then after that, he was able to guess 1 of Ryan Patterson's tasks that he had done. So all in all, Dexter earned $1,500, so $1,000 from his 2 tasks, and then $500 from spotting 1 of Ryan Patterson's. Spencer, are you able to take over for Jessica?
Well, do you think I remember much of it? Well, Jessica's was with Grando and Shandy were her competitors. Also lost the trivia. She only did 1 of the 3 tasks she was supposed to do anyway. She had set off an alarm, which was caught by Grando and Shandy, so she did not earn any money on that. And then Nancy was the special guest in observing, and Jessica did get 1 of Nancy's, right?
Yeah, Nancy held up a sign that said "Barb for President 2024."
Yeah, and then she also drank out of 5 different cups, but Jessica missed that one. I was shocked because one of the cups was like an octopus, and that was very eye-catching weird. And then a different cup she had was like just very large, and I almost made a comment about like, "Wow, Nancy, that's a really big cup," and I was like, "Oh wait, no, she's probably like doing it for the task. I shouldn't say anything to call attention to it."
Yeah, I will say Nancy absolutely killed it as a guest. Like she was probably the funniest person that we had. Just I don't know, something about just no matter what she says, it just always comes across as ironically funny to me.
Maybe
Yeah,
it's the
seeing her with
accent.
all of the cups was amazing because they were so different. She wasn't really going out of her way to like purposely be subtle, but like every time she'd take a drink, it was a different one.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so Jessica did get $500.
Woo!
Yeah, I did find it funny that she didn't even try the other two. One of them she couldn't do because she didn't have popcorn, but the side note there is she chose that set of three tests. So you would think that she would choose the ones where she would have the available materials, but even still was really funny.
Mm-hmm.
And she really enjoyed herself. I'm glad Nancy and Grando were in that group because I know that those were people that she has a prior relationship with. So that's just really a good thing for her to be able to have for the finale.
Mm-hmm.
And then Amanda went last. So Amanda's group, it was Adam and Brian were her two trivia competitors, and it was supposed to be Ben as her special guest, but Ben had to drop out at the last moment. So that led to a bit of panic between Spencer and I of like, okay, what the hell do we do now with like that final part of the assignment? So Spencer was gracious enough to stand in for Ben.
Yeah, panicking at my grandmother's house, being like, okay, what are the things on this list of 10 that I can feasibly do based on 0 prep time?
But you did a good job with that.
Mm-hmm. We made it through. It was fine.
Yes,
It also
yes.
helped that it was Amanda, so it was the mole. So, you know, she was there to help me out.
Yes. And Amanda's trivia was really great because she ended up tying with Adam and Brian at first. Like, so she did the best of all the players in the trivia. So they tied 4-4. So it went to a tiebreaker where the tiebreaker rule was, she'd pick her competitor out of the two, and whoever answered a question correctly first, the fastest, would win. And she purposefully at that point threw it to Brian to let him win, which is pretty great because it showed that she is doing really well at the trivia, could have potentially got the double bonus, but just didn't quite get it. So she was closer than the other two, but still let that sabotage in. For her tasks, she did go out of her way to like try to make them as obvious as possible without like, blatantly putting it in their face. So they were able to identify 2 of her tasks. So they identified that she was drinking a ton of water throughout the assignment. So they got the water task correct. And they also did see her applying makeup to herself, even though Adam thought she put like nail polish on her lips, but whatever. It was
It
still
was some
makeup
lip
nonetheless.
gloss, but whatever. Go off, Adam.
Yeah. But they did not see her hug a teddy bear, even though she had done it like 7 or 8 times. So she did get that one to count. And she did actually guess one of Spencer's correctly. So,
which I think was more incidental. I don't think she saw any of mine. I think she just took a shot in the dark and she happened to guess one that was right. Unfortunately for her, because we couldn't have rigged that one. We didn't have time beforehand to be like, "Hey Amanda, this is what I'm doing. Don't guess them right."
And she didn't know about that part of the assignment anyway. We didn't want her to know. We thought it would have been funnier if she didn't know that she'd be having to guess what the secret guest did. But still, the fact that she could have easily doubled the money that she won and chose not to, she chose to let Brian have it, I think is a good way to end the season. So at the end of the day, Jessica earned $500, Amanda earned $1,000, and Dexter earned $1,500. So together they got $3,000 out of a possible $12,000 in the assignment. And I did tally up all the money that was earned and, created the percentage and whatnot to deduce how much money the winner will take home out of the possible $100 grand total. And it looks like the winner of this season will be earning a wealthy $22.50.
Woo!
Woo! Yeah.
Don't spend that all in one place.
Yeah. So Spencer, I'm going to pass it to you for you to talk a little about the final quiz, making that up, and anything that we noticed with that.
No, what was I would do is just we had started to do it because I wanted to get initiative. We were actually ahead of the game because we had forever to plan this final assignment. So we've actually had today is Friday. We had the final test written up since Monday, I think, which is it was before the final assignment even happened. So we just kind of like picked one question from the final assignment that we was like, oh, we could figure out this answer later, but like it's just a very simple question from it. And so we had that actually written up way in advance, which is probably the earliest we've ever had a test, especially the final test written.
Yes.
Usually it's a nightmare where it's like the night before, it's the night of, it's supposed to go out, and we're sitting here like scrambling, pulling our hair out, panicking as we try to write this very large and complicated test. Because always for the final test, we do a huge list of statements. For this one, we ended up doing 20, including the question, who is the mole? We did 20 multiple choice questions, and then like 30
26 sets of statements.
26 sets. Okay, there we go. And we ended up doing it a bit more organized this season, I would say, than other ones. Were like the assignments were the multiple choice, and then a lot of demographics and such like that were all in the statements, and there's a few like random other questions that were sprinkled throughout the statements and the multiple choice, but for the main thing, that was like the main grouping of them.
Yeah, we won't give too much away if you're a future player, but it's a very challenging final quiz, and just a lot of information goes into it.
Because it's, cumulative over the whole season. I can't even remember what the question was, but I did know that there was another time Jessica, one last time for the final test, she called me out being like, oh, I just went back over these notes, and this is something I think you're going to ask about, which we had already made the question of. So Jessica, once again, is in our head about these questions.
And she's really great at predicting the questions.
She's our mole test correspondent in the future.
Yes.
But so I think it was a total of like 46 was the maximum amount on each person.
The maximum score that you could get on the final quiz.
So we sent that out. And for the final quiz, it is different, where there is no time limit. Because like if it's a tie, time is the tiebreaker. So leave that up to yourself. If you want to like take forever trying to get them all right, or if you want to rush it, like time is the tiebreaker. But Dexter ended up taking his first, and Dexter got a 45 out of 46 correct on Amanda. He missed one statement, so he did not get a perfect score, which we're happy about.
Okay, Spencer's ready.
And then Jessica, unsurprisingly, did go for Dexter on the test, and so she ended up down in the negative somewhere, probably like negative 22, 24. Okay, negative 24. So that was just an unfortunate thing. And so yes, Dexter is our winner, which we as hosts are not particularly surprised by. If you can go back and watch these.
So Dexter is our winner, so a huge congratulations to him. He totally earned it, very much crushed it. He is the only player in the whole season who ever voted correctly for the mole. So I think that's the answer right there. Like, that's why he won, and why it shows clearly that he's the deserving winner of the season. And also Jessica crushed it too. We did chart our stats out. I think we talked a little bit about this last time, but statistically, when it comes to taking the actual quizzes and the scores across the season, the top two of players were Dexter and Jessica. So,
and it wasn't close. It was, they were close with each other. Like, there was Jessica just barely didn't have a better statistical average than Dexter, but there was a wide gap between them and the rest of the pack. Like, they were, because I think Dexter had a lot of first place in the second half once he figured it out, but I think Jessica only one time did not place in the top three.
Yeah, Jessica was in the top three on every single quiz except for one. So most of those, so 8 out of the 10 quizzes, she got second or third best.
Which is very impressive.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
So even though Jessica was wrong, she won our hearts and still did a great job at the test, despite being wrong, which is impressive unto itself.
So all the final three just killed it. So Jessica did a great job in the season. Dexter is a very deserving winner. And then Amanda made it through literally half the season. It was not until quiz 6 that a single person voted for her as the mole. And that was the only person who ever voted for her. And I'll add on again that every single player this season, every person got votes as the mole. Amanda was the very last person in the whole cast to have anyone vote for her for the first time. So just all around an awesome final three.
Yeah, but then I guess we're ready to go into this mole sabotages, which we're going to have to take a brief intermission because I have to go eat dinner. So we're going to pause the video. I will eat and come back,
Yeah.
and then we can discuss the rest of this.
Yes. Okay, so yeah, now we're going to transition and talk about some of our favorite mole moments across the season. So we went through and did make like a top 10 list. These are not all of the mole moments, but they're the ones that we definitely wanted to highlight because they're particularly fun or wonky, or I don't know, they're just memorable to us in their own way. Um, Overall, I think I would say that Amanda has been such an aggressive mole in the best way. Like she has really done everything she can to keep the pot very low, but in a way that people still don't suspect her. Besides Dexter, which is just wild to me. But yeah, she has really crushed it in terms of like actually keeping the pot low. And we want to get into like some examples that highlight that. But it seems like you agree with me, Spencer.
I'm trying to think because there's really only like True Colors is like the only assignment that I can think of that she didn't really try to sabotage, even, which she even still might have with like the initial answers that she gave to throw off stuff with that, but then she earned money in it. I can't even remember
By
exactly.
happenstance, she was not
Yeah,
trying to earn money.
but that might have been like that's really the only assignment that she at least was not making a concerted effort to not earn money in.
Yeah, which is
Every
so
other
different.
one, varying degrees of success, but in every other assignment she like was trying to screw things up.
Yeah, which is so different from how she normally plays like a mole game. Amanda is very much known to be a very pro pot player. So like this was a challenge for her, and it was exciting to see her take it on and like really be gung ho about no, I'm the mole. This team is not earning money. It's been really fun. So let's highlight some of those. So this is kind of it's ish in an order. Like a lot of these are very close. We like a lot of them, but we're gonna do like our top 10. So start off with number 10. So 10, I have Tales of the Hunger Games. And what I love about this assignment was it's the one assignment where the players knew that it was going to be worth a lot of money, and it was highly incentivized that they help each other study for the quiz that they would take about the Hunger Games videos that we had them watch. So the thing is, a lot of people weren't super helpful in this. I'd say Dexter was helpful. I'd say other people were marginally helpful in terms of like giving notes and helping others study. Amanda was not at all helpful. Like this is an example where she used her time zone to her advantage in terms of like, actively like trying to make it look like she wasn't online, not able to help, I'm busy, all that stuff. And at the end of the day, like just pure data, she got the lowest score on the quiz out of the entire cast. She earned the least money for the pot for that assignment out of everyone. So just all around, that's just a funny one.
To the point where she played for herself and guessed her placement correctly, where she would earn a prize, but because she got so low, there was no prize for her to earn.
Yes, she literally won nothing as
yes,
her
but
prize.
she technically did win the second part of that. Like she got her bid right on her placement, which is,
But
I think, a
it
funny
was
thing that
nothing.
gets forgotten.
Yeah, yeah. But it's just this is an example of like we'll see this where Amanda, in times where she's able to like perform independently, will do the worst. And she was able to do the worst and get away with it because she was so positioned in the group. The group think, so to speak, was that Amanda is a trustworthy person, that Amanda is a helpful person, even though time and time again, as we'll see, she's proven not to be.
She is. This is the shadow of the season. She is trustworthy Shandy. And it's so funny to me that I truly think the moniker of trustworthy Shandy went in her favor a lot. It is just the perception that when she screws up, it's fine because we trust her. But anyway, I'm sure oh God, someone's calling me. I bet it's my brother. I'm gonna mute it and yell at him to call me later. Can I call you later? Isn't that exciting? Live and on camera, memorialized forever on youtube.com. Anyway, the next one was from Guest Thoughts, which was fun because she did earn a bit money, like her, and she was with Shandy, earned $700 for the pot. But the whole point of that was because Victoria had bet that Jessica and Dexter were going to get more answers correct or get more money, and that would earn another $2,000. So she went out of her way to earn just enough money to then stop the 2,000 from being earned.
Yeah, the $2,000 bonus. And the super funny part about that was Amanda literally told us she wanted to earn nothing from that assignment because as the mole, she knew the correct answers. But partway through, she was told that, there's this part where Victoria, as the person who assigned the teams, got to guess who would do better. And so she knew that the team would get a $2,000 bonus if she and Shandy earned less money. And she was so miserable about the idea of the team getting money. It was so funny to see her reaction. And when she's like, ugh, that's horrible. Just the thought of that, these people getting anything. Spencer, does that stand out for you?
Oh yeah, that was very funny to see. She has a few moments like that where like, it is just like in a serious unfortunate events, like the group got one question right and then she's like, give me the list, I need to make sure we can earn another question right. Like she was so disgusted and angry that they got 1 point for that assignment.
And it's just so funny because like you juxtapose that to someone like Dexter. Dexter is just thrilled whenever the team makes any amount of money. He's just like celebrating in his diary.
He was
like,
thrilled.
This is awful. I hate it.
Dexter was thrilled when his trio earned $10 in Deal or No Deal.
Yes. Oh my gosh. But yeah, that was a highlight for us. And it was just great because it is an example of like she's earning a little bit of money, but that money, which is revealed at the end that the team lost the bet, but no one put it together that, there could have been any sabotage as part of that. So yeah, she prevented $2,000 there from going in the pot. So our next one is Yes, I Have, which if you remember, that was our assignment of where each team member has to come up with like a yes or no question that all the members of the team will be sent, and they need to get the exact number of yeses that we give them. So for example, if you're given a 1, you would ask something that probably not a lot of people have done, like, have you ever gone parasailing? Something like that. So this was a really fun and subtle one because a lot of people didn't take into account that there's a mole in the cast. Like people didn't really think about that, I don't think, in the statements that they came up with. Granted, this is a very hard assignment. I will say that in the first place. But some of the questions were made specifically in a way where people thought that certain people would be saying yes to them. Amanda lied about almost all of her answers, knowing that that would throw the numbers off some. And it entirely worked. The group earned almost nothing for this assignment. The one that they got was actually Dexter's question, which is just really funny because this was entirely a shot in the dark and it could have gone either way. But there were some where like Amanda, had she answered truthfully, they would have earned a lot of money there.
Yeah. Yeah, that was fun to see. The next one was a disaster unto itself, was her great acting job in Who Done It is a standout, which is odd because like in a way she was playing for the pot because she was the one person that had solved the crime, quote unquote, she had solved it. But like it was fun to watch her. She really tag team with Adam well to always like push for more clues and to put the fire to Brian's feet. But like, oh, I think it's you. I think you're the murderer, and just like chasing him down the whole time. So to like give off this persona of being very pro pot and like, oh, I'm gonna solve this. I'm figuring it out. I know what it is. And like, we're gonna earn money on this, while still, pissing away the money that could be earned by constantly pushing for more clues.
Yeah, and so like as a reminder, the more clues that the team asked for, the less money that the prize would be worth in the end.
So she did a great job doing that. She would have solved it at the end, I think, and then I would have taken an offer to like cut the group's money in half anyway, but then Dexter does his betrayal of Brian to solve it, which is funny unto itself. That was just a whole disaster of an assignment. But Amanda does a particular great job during that one.
Brings home that trustworthy moniker while also like actively screwing over people. I love to see that. Okay, so number 6 is Spyfall, and I'll provide some commentary here, but I think this is actually another one where you'd be better to introduce it, Spencer.
Okay, this is interesting because this is potentially, because obviously like this is not a successful sabotage, and it's like, oh, why is this so high up on here? And it's because this is probably like the hardest task for Amanda to have sabotage, because we put her in a really hard position by making her the spy. Like she would have a much easier job if she were not the spy to screw things up. But she would essentially do what the group did, which is ask questions that make it super obvious where the location is, to give answers to that same effect, which is exactly what the group did. Or she might have intentionally been vague and gave some shitty answers that would at least draw suspicion to her about being the spy. But because she was put in the spy's position, she gave one bad answer, she got caught. But she was smart enough, thinking on her feet, that is like, I need to take this L and turn it into a positive. Like, I have lost already. The group is going to figure me out. I'm almost confident of it. So I'm going to make a big grandstand of the whole thing and confess to being the spy. And so we can earn all of this money and really gain a lot of trust from the group. Like, it was very smart, because the money was going in the pot regardless. We didn't tell her that like how people were voting or anything like that. She had her finger on the pulse of the game, saw where the wave was going, and took advantage of that to then lower her suspicion level a lot, which is so impressive to see.
Yeah, she did such a great job with this assignment, which is, it's so funny to talk about, because she wanted the team to lose. Like, she always wants the team to lose, but the team actually did so bad at the assignment anyway, because the answers that others gave were so obvious that they were not the spy, that it was very hard for her. And she did give one not so great answer, but she still tried to defend herself, but getting to a position where like she deduced herself that she wasn't going to win it. So like, yes, she is adding money to the pot, but she really wasn't, because the team would have added that money anyway. So all she did was make herself look like that trustworthy person. And I really think from then on out, besides Dexter, she was able to run the table, because everyone was able to look back on that as saying, oh, look how Amanda was so helpful and she confessed to being the spy and we earned all that money. I think that really paved the way for all of her like very, very pointed sabotages moving forward. Do you think so, Spencer?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So do you want me to do the next one?
Sure. We've already kind of touched on it, but you can just repeat.
Sure. So the next one is the final showdown, which was from this round earlier in the video. And I love this sabotage from Amanda, especially the piece where she actively tried in the trivia just enough to get the tie and let Brian win from there, knowing that any money that she earned would be cut in half, which is a great thing to do, because when the players see that result, they see, oh, she tried really hard. She was almost there, but just didn't quite get it. And then also just she had her finger on the pulse, like making a lot of her tasks like things that are blatant enough that people should be able to see it. So overall, I think it was a great way to end the season for her, and just really match the kind of tone of her sabotages throughout.
Absolutely. The next one's code names, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so code names. This is again another odd one to mention, but I really like it because it's again good thinking on your feet, in a way to also sabotage in a way that doesn't look like sabotage, but then also upon reflection, to pass the blame onto someone else. Because during Codename, she was one of the few people who had earned money for the pot, before Dexter had guessed the black word. And her whole intention was like, oh, I'm gonna, try to earn money, but then try to like push people onto the black word or some of the white words so the money would come out later. She wanted to make hers look not shady and then push other people to do shady things. But when the assignment was starting, David had made some comment about how Alex and Brian as spy masters were trying to get people to guess these certain words that were more suspicious, or try to guess certain words that would like earn them advantages or something, was just kind of David's assumption. And Amanda ran with that to then, when she was given a clue of Jesus too, which was pretty clearly cross and nail, or basically like the only things I could really relate to on it. It was very obvious those were the two things. She only guessed one of them and then just stopped and didn't guess the second word. And so she was able to do that, not guess a super obvious clue, take some money out of the pot while still looking helpful. And then if she ever gets interrogated about that, she's able to blame David, being like, oh, well, David was saying that this is David's strategy. Like, that's what we agreed to. We weren't going to guess the maximum amount of words.
That's such a great position to be in.
And like I said, she was going to try to like push for the black word, but then she goes to sleep. The disaster that is Alex posting swim happens and Dexter wakes up to post the black word all while Amanda is asleep. So the rest of that assignment going tits up has nothing to do with Amanda, unfortunately, but
Her own work in it is pretty great unto itself.
she would have loved to. Like she was
Mhm.
going to try to cause that to happen. It just happened without her there.
Yeah, so that's a good one. And then our next one, so we're up to our top three now. And the next one is one of the ones that Amanda herself says is one of her favorites of the season. So that is the swap assignment, which is the one that involved the different Ferris wheel buckets.
Mhm.
And I agree. I think Amanda absolutely crushed this assignment. She played it in a few different ways, exactly as you'd want to. So, as a reminder, each of the colored tokens was worth a different amount if you got the full set of them. So at the start of the game, she purposely was picking up red tokens and diamond tokens, tokens being worth the most money and diamonds worth a mystery amount. So she wanted to make sure that those would be, that people couldn't get a full set of those because they'd be highly coveted. So she was just like racking those in. I think she had 3 of each at one point.
Mhm.
But then we got to the point where we were about halfway through the assignment. And since people weren't finding red or diamond, she assumed that they wouldn't be finding them at that point. So she decided to start dumping them because people probably would have given up on that initiative of trying to get that color and picked up one of every color, which made it very hard for people to complete sets because there's not a lot of extra tokens. So I think both of those are just absolutely brilliant moves. That is what you'd want to do, like disincentivize others from getting the ones worth the most and then try to block as many people as you can. And then Spencer, can you comment on the other thing that she did that was pretty great?
Yeah, there was the infamous bucket 6, which did have the last few missing tokens that a lot of people needed. And she was able to notice that every time she went to bucket 6, she would get randomized someplace else. And so she made the wise choice to keep going to bucket 6, just in case other people wanted to go there and hoping that it would still block other people, which is exactly what happened. So she was very essential, because I think there even somewhere it was just 3, like she was the person that pushed it over to being randomized. And and well, then again, there was also the one round where everybody except for one person went to bucket 6, which was very funny. But still, it was a smart deduction to do that, and it worked. It helped because it stopped Victoria from completing her orange set. Amanda had 1 orange, and the only other orange in the game was in bucket 6, and Amanda effectively blocked that one too.
So yeah, that was just really funny, and I love that, you know, she agrees that's one of her favorite moments. If it's okay, I'll take number 2 and then I'll give you number 1 to talk about primarily. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
So our number 2, this goes all the way back to the very start of the game, and we put this here because it's just so funny. So that was the big bucks no whammies assignment. So as a reminder for that assignment, the team was given a series of tasks that they had to complete with different time intervals. So for instance, in the next 6 hours, we need 6 people to post a video of them doing 60 jumping jacks in a minute, or like post a picture of you having stacked cans as tall as yourself. And we would use dice as a mechanic in that to like determine how difficult the tasks were. So at the start of the assignment, Amanda told us that she felt like a lot of these were going to be very close. Maybe people would submit things that wouldn't count, but it was going to be close for some of them. So she's like, I don't want to help them get anything because her submission could push them over the edge for some of those. And then also she deduced that those who weren't helping were actually going to be less shady in the long run than those who tried to help but were maybe unsuccessful, or maybe there's something that looked off about their submission. So she had the bold move at the very start of the game to literally submit nothing at all in that assignment. And that is just so funny to me. And it really matches the tone of like the season for her, of like just being very aggressive and like not helping the group in different times, but still not catching the heat for it, because it wasn't her that caught the heat for that. It was primarily, you know,
Brian and Victoria.
Who had submissions, as Amanda said, that looked a little suspicious. So I just thought that was so funny.
And then also, again, she was the only person to not submit a single thing for the assignment. Every other person in the group did at least one. And so again, you know, you would think just basic logic, like, what's the mole going to do? The mole's going to do nothing. and there she is doing nothing for the group, which is
Yes, yeah, but you gotta love the initiative to do something so bold as that at the very start. That was made me
great.
a little nervous, but it worked out so well.
Hmm. And then the final one, which is a bit of a weird pick, but I think it's because it was the hardest sabotage that she did actually pull off, um, was during Code Painters, which was the Shandy had to describe three paintings. Dexter, uh,
Brian and
was it
Victoria.
Dexter, Brian, Victoria then had to paint those based off the descriptions that were given, and then Amanda and Jessica had to then name out of a list of 30 they had to find like which were the ones that were being recreated. And right off the bat, before we even submitted to Amanda, she would correctly identified which ones they were before we told her what the correct ones were. And so she had a pretty uphill battle of like getting Jessica to submit wrong guesses. She accepted the one that like the Madonna is going to be, that's a super easy one. It's the easiest one, so I have to let that one go. But
Because
she
there was
pushed.
only one painting that had a rose in it.
Yeah. And then, but Amanda pushed really hard to get the barn and the flower vase to be wrong guesses. And she convinced Jessica to go with the bad guesses. And so for the first round of guesses, they submitted the wrong things, and so that was only $2,000 earned while getting two wrong. And then on the second one, when we said that you can switch your guesses for half the money, she almost succeeded at getting Jessica to not change the guesses at all and play it safe. But she then made probably the correct read. I think she could have gotten away with like keeping it at just the 2,000 earned if she really pushed for it. But if you want to go undetected, this is not a bad call to ultimately let Jessica have her way and to push it, which is what happened. And she still did manage to keep $2,000 out of the pot when very easily it should have been all 6,000 was earned.
Yes, because again, Amanda knew all of the answers at the very start without us telling her. So like it was a pretty straightforward. The players did such a good job there, and yet she was still able to convince Jessica to submit two bad guesses at the very beginning. So she did that, and at the same time, she didn't really take any new heat after that assignment. No heat that was, I mean, Dexter had already suspected her at this point, but no one else did. No one else thought that was suspicious. So I just love that one because it really showed Amanda was willing to be aggressive in the first round of that, but also smart enough to realize that, as a mole, sometimes you have to concede a little bit, but she wasn't going to concede enough to let them get the full amount.
Yeah, so that's probably my favorite sabotage of the season. It's weird because it's not like the most successful sabotage in the world, but it's very impressive unto itself, especially because she was so aggressive in front of Jessica. And Jessica, she had commented on it, being like, well, this is kind of weird and suspicious. Like, Jessica made a diary about that specific interaction
But
with
she
Amanda.
then immediately threw that away. It's like, no, I don't think that's it.
But then the confirmation bias came in. It's like, but it's Dexter anyway. So this actually does just read with how I understand Amanda to be. This actually isn't that surprising.
Yeah. It's funny. I think you hit the nail on the head, Spencer, because we've seen Amanda's aggressiveness in her sabotages through the season, but a lot of that's through like our private chats with her and like her telling us what she's gonna do. But this was one of the times where like another player got to see that. So that was just interesting and just fun to get to see play out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably our top 10, but they're all good. It's even hard to call this a ranking per se. These are just highlights more than anything, but yeah. It was fun to take a stroll down memory lane.
Yeah, nice stroll down memory lane before we're done.
Yes, and before we recount it all in the reunion anyway.
Oh yeah, we'll have to go over all of these repeated ad nauseum 10 times throughout the day, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think that's everything we got, isn't it?
I've said my piece. What's Courtney Merritt's speech, chips on your shoulder and all of that? I'm making like a bird and flying, or however that ends.
I think this could be a good time to, exit.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But seriously, this has been a really fun season. This cast has been pretty great. It's just been a lot of like entertaining stuff. Our players were really fun for the most part. I think we most of our assignments landed, and yeah, I'm already looking forward to another season after a bit of a break.
Yes, we need the break. But I love this season. dare I say, on thinking back on it, it might be my favorite season that I've hosted so far. Might just be recency bias, but it was thoroughly
It's hard for me to say because like all the
enjoyable.
mole is like amazing. I just I can't imagine a season playing out the same way that All Stars did.
Mm-hmm.
So that will always have its own place. But all of our seasons have been really strong. So it's I don't even know if I could rank them. I mean, of course I can, but
There's no bad mole content, is what
there
we're
is
trying to
not.
say.
There is not, yeah. But yeah, thank you for getting through this video. The 7 of you who watch it, it'll be precious when I go back and see those views. So thanks for following us.
And dealing with our weird experimental, we're doing video recaps this time. Maybe this will become a staple. I mean, we enjoyed it enough doing it. It's better than the other stuff that we've tried to do. So hopefully there's at least one person out there that enjoyed this, and I will keep making content for that one fan. But yeah, I think we're all good to go.
Cool. All right. See you all later.
Signing off for season 5. That's the season.
Yes.
Bye.